It's the Underpowered Hour on this week's show. Everybody's back home from celebrating Camel Trophy's 45th anniversary with all of our favorite Camel Trophy friends. We'll recap the entire adventure and how much Ike loves driving a Freelander. And now, here's the show. Welcome to the Underpowered Hour. I'm Steve Beres, mild-mannered television executive by day and Land Rover collector by night. You can find out more about our cars and what we're working on at theberescollection.com or follow us on Instagram at theberescollection. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Ike Goss.
Thank you to everyone joining us today.
I'm the cookie to Steven's biscuit. I'm the indistinguishable but clearly better host of podcasting, Ike Goss.
I own and operate Pangolin 4x4 in Springfield, Oregon, where we live and breathe Land Rovers. Check us out online on Facebook, Instagram at Pangolin 4x4. Let's get started.
You just wanted to talk about Steven's biscuit, didn't you?
All right, Ike and Linus and Jenna, we are officially back, and I am glad to see that not one but all three of you made it back into the United States. No one was indefinitely detained by ICE, which is good. Yeah, I mean, I guess
only a brief layover in El Salvador.
Right, an El Salvadorian prison. But it was ultimately ruled that you guys were more dangerous in an El Salvadorian prison than just loose up in Oregon. So
we started our own gang.
It's just an even worse gang. They were just collecting old tractor parts. It was really annoying. It was like out of space very quickly. Anyways, well, welcome back to His Majesty's United States. And it's what a trip, hey? It was. How was your flight back? Everything good?
Oh man, it was pretty good. You know, one of the benefits to having fewer visitors in the United States is that return flights from foreign countries are less full.
Yeah.
So we had some room to ourselves on the return flight. It was great.
Nice. We'll take it while you can.
We should anger foreign nations more regularly.
Yeah. Well, great. Don't worry, Linus. No problem. right on track.
We're angering them or disappointing them. I'm not sure which it is.
It's more disappointed than angry. They're just, it's very disappointing. So for those of you who don't know, we obviously, the four of us, were just in the United Kingdom. And we had the benefit, amongst other things, of celebrating 45 years of Camel Trophy with, like, every Camel Trophy truck and every Camel Trophy person, what felt like it anyways, in the UK. It was pretty awesome. And I had a good time.
Yeah, it was really amazing.
Pretty good turnout. 58.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Really impressive turnout. Lots of cool people that we have seen and many fans of the show. I was really surprised that there were listeners even beyond our moms.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we know we have, at least most of the time we have our moms. Not, let's be honest, it's not 100%. But, but yeah, it is nice. It was nice to meet. Like I said, if something had happened to that event and like everybody had drowned or something, that's it. No more show. That represented 100% of our listener base there. So
yeah, but to our credit, there were hundreds of people there.
I know.
They all seemed enthusiastic about the show, despite our best efforts.
It's like a group psychosis, It's like that, like what was it called? The Satanic Panic. I think it's very much like that, the Underpowered audience. So, well, we're grateful for it. So, thought we would do the rundown of the trip. And as you guys had a very eventful, I was working around most of the event, so I really only got out there for the couple days of the main event. And then it was unfortunately back to work. But you folks had an opportunity to do some fun stuff outside of Camel Trophy. So, let's start with flying over there. When did you guys went over? You came over on Thursday, is that right?
Yeah, we left late Wednesday and got there 2:30 p.m.-ish on Thursday and
have some good airplane sleeps.
And, intermittent. It was more busy on the way out there, so no, not so much. But then, we got to London. We found a train. We took a train. We ended up out on some plaza and swoosh
Probably
in. We had
Paddington,
an 80-inch
Paddington Station. Yep.
An 80-inch swooped in and picked us up, and it was great.
No, that's pretty cool. Yeah. That's a feature that a lot of people don't know. The Heathrow Express to Paddington is that there is an 80-inch that you
and
can
a left-hand drive one at that.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, of all
Very
the things.
comforting.
Yeah, because it was you, Jenna, and Linus. That's the first time you've ever been in the UK, right?
Yeah.
True story.
It's kind of amazing that of all the places that you've been Land Rovering, haven't been yet to the UK. So, well, what did you think? What were your initial impressions of that weird smell at Heathrow? It's like got a very specific smell.
That whole place is just so old. You know, you can't, it's novel to live in an old house in the United States. I think it's novel to live in a new house in the United Kingdom because they're much more uncommon.
Run very much against like your ethos as a person, Linus?
Yes,
that, like,
because I was, not only was everybody living in an old house, but it's like I was jealous of all of them because they're all older than mine.
Yes, that's right. They're all older than yours, and they all have old things. It's just commonplace. It's very common there to have. It's easy. You can accidentally have very old things there without even trying.
You might not even know.
No, you might.
It's just a planter box in your front yard, and it's from the Romans.
Yeah, it's from 1870. Yeah, no, or 1770. Yeah, it's an amazing place. So you guys arrived at Paddington. The Heathrow Express, I have to say, 15 minutes from Heathrow to Paddington Station. Pretty great. Took me
pretty
a little under 2 hours to get from
and all of the
airport,
wig powder really helped with the smell.
Yeah. And you were issued the powdered wigs at the airport, correct?
Yeah.
Gentleman on the.
Did you have the one with the?
Yeah.
Was yours the one with the ponytail or the super long white mullet one?
I tried both at various times, just look at the photos from the
look at the photos. Linus is a variety. Very regal, I have to say. He really embraced the culture in a way. I mean, the culture of the 1790s, but really embraced it, It's great.
Yeah, those will be available to the Patreons for sure.
That's exactly right. Yeah, nothing Linus likes more than a little colonialism. That's for sure. But that being said, so you got picked up in the 80-inch by, of course, our very good friend, the one and only Alan.
Sure. Yeah, he's the 80-inch expert, and he expertly navigated downtown London with this left-hand drive 80-inch 1951 model, or late 50 or early 51 model. Headlights through the grill anyway.
Through the grill,
for those of you keeping score at home. But Tom Pickford was nice enough to loan it to us, so
nice.
We really appreciate that. And the plan was to head to Goodwood the following day.
Very cool, yeah. So Goodwood, the vintage racing and just altogether like fancy people stuff. It's good. Would you call it in the pocket of Pebble Beach, but in the UK?
No, it's very different. Very different.
I think it's it. I'm going to.
I've never been. I have never had the opportunity to go. It's one of those things on my list.
It's kind of like Car Week. Car Week has many events.
Yeah.
And it's sort of condensed into one event at Goodwood. So you've got the racing, you've got the car shows, you've got, all those various things. It's in one place at one time. So
it's also carnival and a food.
Yeah.
Everything, food trucks, and also a giant flea market sort of situation.
Oh.
With lots
there
of
are more
booths.
Yeah. There's more of that for sure.
Did you buy any old crap?
It's not so much like antiques as, just goods. And absolutely piles and piles of clothing, vintage clothing, new clothing that looks vintage.
Right.
We've gone to a lot of car events in the United States. I've never seen anything like that as far as having so much vintage clothes for sale. And
nice. Did you get some galoshes or something?
And people wear it. You don't see that here to that scale.
They cosplay as vintage automobile drivers.
To be fair, that does also happen to an extent at Pebble Beach. People do dress up in the fancy clothes.
Not to that extent, as far as
no, everyone there is dressed up.
Yeah, most people at the Pebble event are going to be dressed nicely, but a smaller number of them will be dressed in a period look to match their car.
Right, that makes sense.
It does happen, of course.
What were the highlights for you guys at the old Goodwood? What did you get an opportunity to see?
I have one highlight that outshined everything else there from my perspective, which was a 1931 Rolls-Royce Phantom II shooting brake.
I saw that. Yes.
That thing just blew my mind. And I spent the next 24 hours trying to find out who owns it, Unsuccessfully.
Unsuccessfully, yeah. And selling all of your worldly goods to try to make
Afford
a bid for
one
it.
of the hubcaps, exactly.
Yeah. Nothing like a vintage roller like a shooting brake. That's pretty cool. You did send me some pictures. It is pretty cool. Throw that up on
They
the
have been
Instagram
taking it there for a long time, and they often have like leopard skins and pith helmets and spears and all kinds of stuff.
From all the things they've hunted, leopards and other hunters, and yeah.
Definitely had the safari vibe to it, traveling overland sort of situation, but had the wooden coach built body. I think really set it above a lot of the other contemporary vehicles that were there in terms of its flavor, but also kind of largely unrestored. So it's kind of like a little bit ratty, around the edges, but it definitely had a good vibe.
Oh yeah. Vintage luggage.
Super cool.
A lot of cool automobiles too, but they're all
Really?
Volkswagens. All Volkswagen buses.
This year was like a big year for Volkswagens, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Like
Had to be
split
100.
window Volkswagens. They had
100 buses.
maybe 100 of them there.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
pretty wild.
Yeah, I think it had a
But
theme. I think it was like California Dreamin' was the theme of this year's Goodwood Revival. I think that's partially why, the Volkswagens, and there were some like hippie stuff, like in one of the...
There was a duplicate of the further bus there, which is a lot
From
of
our town
sort of-
here.
Yeah, which
a lot
was
of sort
funny
of
because it had...
hippies.
The real one is here in Springfield. Or it
That's
was just
cool.
the
Oh, I
week
didn't
before.
realize that.
Yeah,
There
Ken
was
Kesey.
even a very small showing of sort of American hot rod type of cars.
Okay, that makes
very
sense.
little couple of them.
There was hot rods and motorcycles, and sort of, they had like a little display of, California cabana type, places where you could buy food and that sort of thing. But I think what blew me away the most is how many Land Rovers there are for being
So
the
many.
Goodwood Festival of Speed. There were sure a lot of slow ass cars. You know?
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
all of
they
their
were-
recovery vehicles for the track. There had to be 10 Land Rover tow trucks.
Sure. Right. And that's kind of always been right. Like they have a pretty decent fleet of Land Rovers just on. Hasn't it kind of always been the case there?
It is, but I'd never been there, so I didn't really appreciate that. And not only that, like most of the food trucks, the pizza ovens, the, bars, the, all those food trucks, cookie stands, they were all Land Rovers, which I thought was kind of
If
interesting.
you ever wanted to see a 110 with a pizza oven in the back, that was...
They also had a forward control bar.
Two forward controls,
Yeah.
I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
That's
Now,
what we should do with our.
We did sort of omit one of the fun aspects of going to Goodwood initially, which was getting there. So, obviously we had the 80-inch in downtown London, and we needed to get to Goodwood, which is about 2.5 hours away. Before, the plan was to get there before the Spitfires take off. So they have this Spitfire early morning dawn patrol sort of thing where they fly up and around the event and do some acrobatics and formation flying and that sort of thing. So we were like, oh, that'd be cool to check out. So we left London we got up at 4 a.m. to leave by
A little before 5.
5.
Or something.
Yeah. So, and we left central London in the 80-inch in the dark. And so driving through central London with the 80-inch in the early morning
in the
with
dark, with light. I'm sure
sort of
exceptionally, yeah.
abandoned streets, though. That was pretty cool.
It was
and
cool.
then
Yeah.
we drove all the way out there, and we got there just while they were letting people into the infield for the Land Rover. There were a lot of people in the Land Rover Club that were volunteering for various tasks in the infield. So we kind of snuck in there with the other Land Rovers, and we did a circuit of the racetrack at Land Rover Speed. So we did a little loop around Goodwood in the Land Rovers, which was pretty fun.
A little hot
We
lap.
made the new record for the longest time around the track.
But it
But
was
while
neat
we
to
were
just
doing
kinda-
the lap on the track, there was actually a service vehicle Land Rover doing maintenance on the track, which we passed,
It
which was pretty cool.
towing some kind of cleaning device, or some sweeper or track
Also a Land
polisher.
Rover.
Or,
Also Land
who
Rover.
knows? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Linus
That's
was
amazing.
And
Yeah,
we
so
went
that
by
was
them
fun.
going 27 miles an hour while they were going 22 miles an hour. It was just they hurt their
Blistering.
necks watching us
Yeah,
speed by.
blistering sort of. Were you supposed to be out on the track, or no, okay, all right, yeah, right. Copy that.
Absolutely
Yeah.
We will
Good to
be
know.
denied entry the next time we try to visit the UK for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
likely.
Yeah, and where did they send people when they? Oh, Australia, right? I forgot.
They send them
They've been
to
doing
the
that for a
tower.
long time.
Everybody
Scotland,
knows that. They send them to
Wales.
the tower.
To the tower, yeah. You got to go to the tower, yeah. For a nice tour and a stern talking to, and then a memorial photo. So after the old Goodwood, it was time to come north, but you swapped out the 80-inch for something a little different.
Well,
Something,
I will say
less reliable. And,
there were a couple.
Land Rover.
There were a couple other things worth mentioning at Goodwood, I should say. Our good friend and Linus's son,
Yes.
Jackson Sens, was there at Goodwood with his wife Summer, and they were on their honeymoon, and we hadn't seen them since we visited Australia, so it was really cool to catch up with them.
They postponed honeymoon intentionally, I believe, so that they could include the Goodwood event
Wow.
in their travels.
Really
They've
is
been
Linus's son. Jeez.
Where did they go? Greece and Germany and Paris, and then
Yeah, they went to Paris.
all the way, all those beautiful destination places, the Mediterranean Sea, the beautiful French countryside, and they abandoned all of that to come to Goodwood just to
Come
see
to
us.
Goodwood to see us. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was really nice. We also
had a-
saw. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say we had a great time with Jackson getting absolutely soaking wet in the rain.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was a little rainy. This
It was
You know
just-
that
it was
scene
off and on.
in a lot of romantic comedies where the two principal characters make out in the rain? That was
me
Linus and Jackson.
Yeah.
They were holding hands, swinging arms, frolicking through the rain.
really
The
just
real reason that we went out in the rain is because the beer line disappeared when all the rain was happening. And we
Yeah,
could
that makes
get
sense.
in front of everybody.
there you
That
go.
was
That's
a
a top tip. Yeah.
Also, a thank you to Richard Hughes, who got us some tickets to Goodwood.
Oh, nice.
Even though it was a little bit of a hassle for him to meet us, he got us tickets, and really appreciate that. So thanks, Richard.
Nice.
He has a really neat car for sale right now, too, doesn't he?
He has
Is
a
that
few
him?
cars for sale. He's got a 107 wagon. He's got a grip, one of those Swedish, coach-built station wagon-y things. He's
Yeah.
got a few neat cars.
Oh, is he selling that Swedish station wagon, the red one?
Yes.
he is.
yeah,
Yep, that's
yeah.
Richard.
It's a neat car.
Richard's car.
Those are neat.
It is
Those are very, very rare. Those things.
Pretty
Exceptionally rare.
reasonably priced, too. I think 15,000 pounds. So
Really?
it looks like it's in good shape. So if you're in the market for a unique Land Rover, check it out.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, very cool. I have to say, I lament not having a Land Rover there right now. It was it was rough. My only difficulty in getting from Heathrow up to the event at Eastnor Castle was that my Mercedes, which was not the 4x4 that I had requested at the car hire place, but it was the vehicle that I got, the Mercedes sedan, was entirely in Italian. And they had a hell of a time figuring out how to get it out of Italian. But I did manage to do that
Did you
eventually.
answer
Now,
nicely?
what's the method? How do you get a car? And this sounds like a joke. How do you get a car that's stuck in Italian out of Italian?
I don't know. I'm trying to
Disconnect
think
the
of it.
battery.
I had to get
Then it
in
goes
there
back
and-
to German, though, and that's
Yeah,
even
that's
worse.
true. That's true. No, I used my phone's translator to diddle it back into English, so it was good. Did it.
Fiddled it.
Yep, that did it. It's all good.
So, yes. So after we checked out, Goodwood as best we could for just a day, because it is a big event, with a lot of cars, and no matter what you're into, whether it's military vehicles, agricultural vehicles, race cars, pre-work cars, post-work cars, planes, there's really something for everybody if you're a car enthusiast. So highly recommend checking it out. And one day may not be enough to do it justice for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
we only had I don't know, not even a whole day, because we had to get out by 1 o'clock because we had
It is
parked.
a little bit of a disappointment that we didn't get to stay there longer. That was really fun, but we did.
Well,
have to
people
leave
do
early.
go, even in fact, planning honeymoons around going to Goodwood as the event.
Yes.
But of course, we had another event to attend north at the beautiful Eastnor Castle estate there, which just south of Birmingham, and of course the spiritual home of Land Rover for the entire run of its existence. And that's a pretty neat place, pretty historic Land Rover locale.
We should mention that we had to escape
Yeah.
Goodwood. We
Yeah.
had to
Oh,
escape.
yeah.
Because we'd
So
parked
Jenna
on the
was-
infield, and you can only cross the track at 2 times during the whole day. So we had to, if we didn't get into the window of crossing at 1 o'clock, we had to wait until 7 o'clock at night to leave because we were
Oh my
trapped
God.
inside the track. So anyhow, we had this funny scramble to make sure we were right there when they finally shut the track down. And that track shutdown was so short. There was no announcement or, like if we hadn't actually just been waiting there, we wouldn't have gotten out because immediately, like barely had we gotten off the track and the cars started zooming by again.
Yeah,
It was.
If the last car had missed a shift, it would have got hit by a race car.
So
Wow.
We were lucky to escape, and then we went to the Ives because we had to get
Yes,
a Camel Trophy vehicle in order to drive
that's exactly right. Yeah.
to the Camel Trophy event. And
In my opinion, you may have picked the greatest of Camel Trophy vehicles for sure.
we knew you would
Could
say
be yours,
that,
Stephen.
and
It could be yours.
It might be still. You never know.
it's not too late. You could be the proud owner of that Camel Trophy Freelander. But
Yeah.
our good friend and former Camel Trophy winner, Bob
Yes.
Ives, kindly allowed us to use his Camel Trophy Freelander to drive to the event. So we took the 80-inch to the Ives' farm,
Yeah.
dropped it off, and picked up the Freelander. And so then we attempted to drive it to the Camel Trophy event, but
Which is 2 hours north. Not a huge deal.
For
with
any
a
other
small
car,
complication.
It would have been fine. It would have been fine. But
It made
we
it.
took a route that was not the intended route, apparently, but we didn't know that.
I
And
see.
it involved sitting in some traffic, which the Freelander did not enjoy.
Was not capable
No,
of. Yeah.
the Freelander is made for roaming the wildernesses of the world.
The
That's
wild
right.
young.
It's right there in the name. It needs to be.
It needs to be free. And just the smallest amount of waiting in traffic caused it to overheat, and we
Yeah.
were forced over to the side of the highway with a steaming vehicle. Fortunately, there was a repair book inside that allowed us to determine that the fans on the Freelander are they don't work. I don't think they ever worked.
They're there mostly for show.
No
Yeah,
decorative
the
fans.
mostly
Other
for show,
thing
the
that
electric
was
fans.
that was in the back of the car, which is somewhat telling, is a gallon of water.
Thankfully,
Yeah.
It
because
was
we needed
already
it.
there, so
No.
that might be a
That
clue.
feels just
So
like
foreshadowing. Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
I think there
Yeah,
was also
well,
some oil in there too.
And some
Yeah,
gloves.
I mean,
Also
well,
might
that
have
just
used.
that makes good. I have to say, last time I was there, Dan and Bob and I took out that Freelander. It was great. No,
It's
but,
great as long
yeah.
as you're out in traffic.
Yeah,
It's-
no.
but-
Yeah, it's no trouble.
It's only a problem when you try to use it. Otherwise,
Yeah, otherwise
So-
it's perfect. Yeah.
My personal record is still intact. Every Freelander that I've ever ridden in has broken down.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. Yep.
Be
Maybe
with
it's just
you.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe it's me. It's like oil and water. We just don't mix.
It just doesn't feel right with you on board. It just doesn't like it. No, there are some great pictures of everyone looking at the manual and looking at the motor. And at the Camel Trophy event, as we were getting these updates, we all felt like, it's not going to, these folks are not good with cars with greater than 2 fuses. So it's, not a good situation there. But you made it. After all, you got her running.
After all that,
Yeah.
we made it. It cooled down, and we had to take the train back to London. Alex and I did, while Linus and Jenna soldiered on.
Yes.
We took an alternate route that required no traffic, so that way
Right.
we could keep it cool.
the
Yeah,
cure
okay,
to
yeah.
the problem was just turning around.
Yeah.
Yes, right. That's right. Just go back and get that 80-inch.
It,
It'll be fine.
it all worked out. It all
Yeah.
worked out. We all made it to the event just in time for a 48-hour squall.
Yes. My God.
It
Yeah.
was so blustery.
Yes, it was a very blustery weekend there at the Deer Park, which is it's like a huge field right across the street from the castle. And the club, the Camel Trophy Owners Club, had set up all kinds of fantastic events. So they had different trials, but the whole weekend sort of kicked off with a drive of these classic Camel Trophy cars through the storied trails of Eastnor, starting off with a top of the hill castle view shot provided by none other than our very own Nick Dimbleby, which,
He's the
if you're
best.
if you're going to have somebody take a photo of your Land Rover, there just isn't anybody better.
Yeah, we kind of actually brought 2 vehicles. I forgot about this. We also brought Michael Bishop's classic trophy 110 V8 Works Edition car. Did
That's
I say
right.
that? Is there enough descriptors in that?
I don't.
think that
Yeah, this Max Extreme HD
I don't
Yeah.
know
Trophy
what order
V8.
those
No, I don't
words
know what
have
they
to
go
go
in
in.
there. I don't know
But
what
as
they're
long
supposed
as
to
they're
go
all
in
there.
It has somewhere between 500 and 3,000 horsepower.
Yep.
And we made it to the event with that thing in like 43 seconds.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
If you ever want to see a Land Rover do four-wheel burnouts, that's the one.
It's
That's
pretty
the
crazy.
one.
Yeah, we took the fine folks from the Turkish team to lunch in that car, and yeah, they couldn't believe it. It was like blew their minds. It's a great car. It's a great car. So we did a little drive with those guys up to the top of. I actually rode with Michael in that car. You guys were all in Bob Ives's winning Camel Trophy Defender 110, which is pretty cool.
He let us drive it.
We were surprised. We were surprised that Bob put us all in his winning 110. It was sort of in a place of honor, which we definitely don't deserve.
No.
And he allowed us to drive his car on
Jenna
the
maybe,
grounds
but
of
you
Eastnor.
two without question. No.
He didn't even let his own kid ride in there. He kicked him out and put us in.
Dan had to go, and Dan spent the
Dan
morning
fixed
fixing
it.
the car.
Dan fixed it all. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there was like a shredded fan belter. Dan was in mid-engine fixing up before with that fixed. It was looking good and running well. I don't think there was any significant breakdowns. I mean, I'm sure something broke down, but nothing significant. And I took it upon myself this past weekend to do nothing but take photos of Nick Dimbleby taking photos. I have quite a. I'm going to release a
whole
copy of the
gallery.
book. Yeah, I think
We could do an installation somewhere.
that's right. Nick Dimbleby, the definitive history.
Nice.
You've got some sort of like weird like murder shrine
Do.
in your shop to Nick Dimbleby.
That's right. It's on there right now, burning some incense. Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
it only makes sense though because like you take a lot of pictures of Nick Dimbleby and they're all good. I don't know how
Yeah.
he does it. It's like he
it's
just
true.
knows from so much experience taking pictures of other people that
Yeah.
he just knows how to always look good himself in case somebody
It's true.
takes a picture of him.
You
It's
can't
kind of a
you
miracle.
can't take a bad picture of Nick Dimbleby. It's not possible. It's not possible. He's just like always just ready, just so. It's really great. Anyways, look for that on the shop later this year.
Very photogenic.
Yeah, very photogenic.
So we did the sort of the off-road Land Rover Jaguar Land Rover experience.
Yep.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
We did that at Eastnor. Did the wading, did some of the little hills, some of the little cross-axle sort of things. It was, maybe one of the less extreme courses at Eastnor, but it was still pretty cool to drive around in that historic location and with those historic vehicles. That was pretty neat.
Yeah, I think the intent of that drive was more of a procession, more of just a cool procession and capturing neat photos and just
It was an
kick it out.
honorary drive.
Yeah. Very paradey, but very cool. Very,
And
very
there were
cool.
a ton of the cars on that drive. I don't know how many, but a lot. Not all of them that were at the event. But were they all the historic competitive vehicles? Is that which ones they chose? Or
I think so, yeah. I'm not sure that there were any of the, because there were a few Shamel cars there that people had built up and that sort of tribute stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure that stuff went out, but certainly all the original vehicle did, as well as Land Rover had the new Defender Trophy example vehicle there, the prototype, I guess, if you will. And they actually spent the evening before, while you guys were freelandering your way across southern England, David Griff, our good buddy, gave a little presentation on that particular event, which is, meant to be kind of like the, karmic, stepchild of Camel Trophy. It's going to be an event where they will have people competing from all over the world to join the event, much like Camel Trophy did, and then they're going to go out and do some adventuring in these new Defenders, and as part of that, they're going to, help rhinos and fix bridges and do all of the sort of a little bit more of a humanitarian tilt, I think, than something like G4 had, which was very much more adventure sporty. So they really kind of want to return to the Camel roots of of sort of doing things in communities that are sort of around sustainability and improvement and things, and not just bushwhacking a giant trail through the middle of Madagascar or something. They want to be a little more eco-friendly, I think, as well. So
Tread
it's
a little
cool.
more
Looks cool.
lightly.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Whereas the original Camel Trophy, no light, just tread. Just 100%, but this is going to be cool. So
Tread
they had
heavy.
one of the cars there. Yeah, very tread heavy. Yeah, they had one of the cars there, which is, a standard 110 with, new stickers and stuff on it, and then some roof rack gear and, the sort of standard that they do for those type of events. So, yeah, it looked cool, though,
One of the things that was really cool about the Camel Trophy event was, it was the intersection of a lot of our friend groups and professional acquaintances, and a lot of people that we had met in our travels in other places kind of coalesced in one location. There were people from really all over the globe, Indonesia, South Africa, mainland Europe, of course, the UK, the United States, Australia, really everywhere. And it was really neat to see that, even if it happens every 5 years, still pretty cool. We had one particular gentleman that we got a tour of his shop in South Africa, Nekkies, and Nekkies was there, and he has a very distinctive laugh, and I didn't know he was there, didn't know he was going to be there, but I was talking to someone else, and in the background I just hear like and I was like, Nekkies is here. So it was pretty cool to see everyone and meet a lot of new people, some of whom I've heard about are kind of legends in the Camel Trophy lore history, and meet them in person. Everybody says don't meet your heroes, but there were sure a lot of really nice folks there, and a couple real shitheads, but mostly really nice people.
But no, it was, again, the gathering of Camel Trophy competitors, obviously former competitors, as well as the incredible turnout. We had the distinct pleasure of sitting down with both Tom Collins, who was head of the U.S. program and really sort of a right-hand man for a long time during the Camel Trophy, and Ian Chapman himself, the organizer of Camel Trophy for a number of years, for the sort of formative years of a Camel Trophy. And we got a little interview with them, which was very interesting, super interesting stuff. Like they, lots
just
of...
a teaser for those of you who will later listen to that. Ian recounted a situation where he nearly had to stab a fellow competitor.
That's right. That's right. Yep, exactly. Yeah. So that and many other stories coming to you soon. We're going to get that episode all cut up and shipped out here as soon as we can. And we had the opportunity to meet a ton of great Camel Trophy people. Of course, people we know and love. Duncan Barber was down from Edinburgh, our very good friend, and again one of the main Camel Trophy organizers for many years. And he was there to sign things and to sort of help Ben see some things and chat about all of the incredible stuff. I think we met members from just about every team, except I don't think there were any U.S. team guys there, which is interesting, but I didn't see anybody anyways. But yeah.
Ken was there.
Tom and Ken.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Ken was there. Yeah. We definitely got some eye-opening stories from Ken. He told us about every motorcycle accident, plane crash, train crash, helicopter accident, lake
actual crashes,
breaking. Yeah. There was one in particular where he was about to get on a helicopter and his hat blew off, and he turned around to pick up his hat, and the helicopter took off without him and then flew into a mountainside. Yeah. It was insane.
There's nonstop. Ken has almost died in a plane crash every year for the last 20 years. It feels like it's some great. It's like he's in a Wes Anderson movie or something. That guy,
he's a Final Destination movie. Right?
That's a good point. Yes, death is on its way for him, but
he survived a pretty bad injury during the Camel Trophy too. That was a pretty interesting story.
We should have him on.
Yeah, we'll get Ken on.
His nose was torn off by a camera, falling down a cliff or something like that, and he got airlifted out, and it was a whole crazy story. And he looks fine now, but
he does great.
It was a wild story, and he meeting all those guys was really great. Duncan was really personable and very pleasant to chat with. He had a lot to talk about, some good books to recommend. I'm excited to read. We had dinner with him and also got to meet Mark Cullum, who does a lot of testing and military training of vehicles and winches and these sorts of things. And, we were telling him about motorcycles, and he was like, "Oh, you like motorcycles? Well, come to my house." And at this point, it's midnight or something. And so we go over to his house until 1:30 or 2 in the morning to look at motorcycles. And he was really great to chat with as well. So look forward to seeing him in the future and doing some events with him.
Yeah.
Some of the British enthusiasts, Emrys Kirby and John-Luke Masters, were super awesome to chat with. Got some tours of their vehicles and got to drive them around and so forth. They're really excited about vehicles and trips, and they were really fun to visit with, for sure.
both Dan Ives and I in the back of a two-door Discovery, John's GWAC, which, I'm surprised how much space there is back there. I think it's the only time I've ever been in a two-door Discovery in the back. I've been in the front of them before, but I've never been in the back. So it was great. I enjoyed it. John also had his workshop 110 there, and that was super cool. That's a good look.
Linus won an award. We've kind of glossed over that.
That's right, of course. My God, how could we? Yeah, that's right.
Linus helped fix I guess it's a tribute Jeep from the original Camel Trophy event, the first one. Apparently it was acting up, and I wasn't even there, but what happened, Linus?
Well, it was really an attempt to repair that car, but it wouldn't idle. It's like a 1979 Jeep with a straight six in it, and it has that sort of smog era carburetor with all the dash pots and chokes and hoses and pipes and vapor recoveries and all this sort of stuff, and it wouldn't idle. And the whole event, I just hear this Jeep starting because every time they try to go anywhere, it stalls. So we tried to fix the carburetor, and I guess somebody else had attempted to it, but they got scared to take it apart because of all the pieces inside. And we took it apart, and it was just full of rust in there and glorp, and we got it so that it would idle, and as soon as we put it back together, it started doing the thing again. But I at least made it so that it would sort of idle so that they could kind of drive it around without it shutting off every time but it needs a new carburetor.
And they were very appreciative of that. And
so I got the Bush Mechanic Award for trying to fix that thing. We had the pieces
really had
all
nothing
over.
to do with working on cars.
No, it was all related, more than mechanic related.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Did a good amount of that there. Linus knows his way around a topiary, but the event itself was sort of almost secondary to all the fantastic people. And like we said before, we had fans from across the UK and Europe and a couple from the US there. So we were worried if something happened there, that would be it. That's the show. Something happened. If there's a flood or something, that's it. No more show. Just gone. The entire listener base wiped out in one foul swoop. Which, if you need proof for or against God, depending on how you look at it, there you go. Didn't get wiped out, despite a few attempts. Because, man, at one point there was a 3-minute micro hurricane.
Was that when you were doing the interview?
We were in the middle of interviewing Ian Chapman and Tom Collins, and a small hurricane blew through. I really thought we were going to have to retreat for higher ground because it was, holy God, was it blowing a gale.
We were holding the tent down.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it was nuts. It was nuts. But yeah, no, lots of fantastic folks there. Our recent new friends. We've accumulated a bunch of new people that are really into the show, and Duncan and his wife Rosie with their workshop truck. Duncan listens to the show apparently, and Rosie, anytime she calls him and interrupts the Underpowered Hour, which is something no one has ever done ever. So, yeah. So.
No, what they lack in numbers, they make up for in enthusiasm.
That's
and we
exactly
were
right, yeah.
really excited to see everybody. People actually recognize Linus from the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
which was pretty fun, and they would recognize your voice before you before you met them in person. So it was pretty interesting to visit with all those enthusiasts over there. And man, what a great event!
Yeah, it really was. And the tribute of Chris Hewitt and Dan and Bob Ives and the rest of the crew there at the Camel Trophy Owners Club, they did an absolutely spectacular job of, not just having events to do and drives and, great fireside chats. They had an incredible auction, of which I think I bought most of the stuff. And, so sometimes you got to have it, And then, also the bacon on bread sandwiches or sausages on bread sandwiches, which was just fantastic.
I will say the catering tent did a did a good job.
We did have that interesting sandwich versus roll.
Yes.
That was an interesting cultural difference between here and there.
Yeah, and it's had a half-hour long discussion about sandwiches versus rolls. Finally cleared it up, though, I think. What do you think, Linus? At the end of the day, is the British form of ordering a meal on bread, is that better or worse than what we do?
I might say it's better. I
Yeah.
mean, it just immediately distinguishes what you want. You don't have to say, I want a sandwich on a roll. You just say, I want a roll. I want a sausage roll, which is a sausage sandwich on a roll. Or a
Unless
bacon
it's a
roll.
sausage roll,
Right,
which is a
actually
sausage
inside.
in a pastry. Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
It's very confusing. That's
It
why
is.
we had to talk about it for half an hour.
That's exactly right. You guys really went back and forth quite a bit. And I think both walked away a little.
In the end, I got
yeah.
bread wrapped inside of a sausage, so I don't know.
That's
what
right. I don't know how that. Yeah, I don't know which form that did. Yeah, but
4 years of high school Model UN prepared Linus for
Yeah.
ordering a sandwich in the UK.
that's exactly right. 2 years of jazz, 4 years of tap. Very good stuff, and it was a heck of a weekend. Lots of fun. I headed back into London on Sunday night as I had to get to work the next morning on Harry Potter. But you folks, you continued the great Camel weekend journey. So what did you get up to after the weekend?
Well, we needed to return the Camel Trophy vehicle to Bob.
Yeah.
That was, definitely something that needed to happen. And then we also had to help Alex pack a container. He was kind enough to pack a container for us in Australia. We felt like we needed to return the favor. And, he had some stuff going to Australia. He's moving there, some Land Rovers, some parts, some other things. So we headed up to the north of England with Alex, and we visited Andrew Bullis and Windmill Land Rovers up there. And, man, it was packed. It was jam packed with activity. There was another mini hurricane while we were packing the container.
For sure.
Makes
Like,
sense. Yeah,
huge.
makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
We had to make 3 loads with the truck and trailer. So Alex borrowed a truck and trailer, and we made 3 separate loads of stuff to pack into this container, which took probably half the day to do that.
Yeah.
And then we headed up to Andrew's workshop, and then we headed up to Andrew's farm, and we saw so many cool vehicles. He really has a really wonderful collection of stuff. He was recently on the cover of the Full Grill magazine, and it was a treat. It really was. What was your favorite?
Mine?
Sure.
We've had that discussion a couple times, what we liked the best there. I think his special plate car is of consideration. The fuck you car.
Oh, yeah.
KU number plate. That's a pretty good car. He
has
has some
a-
really original things.
Yeah.
He has a pre-production. He's got one of those Rolls-Royce powered 80 inches, I think.
He's a Ferd.
A
Ooh, yeah,
Tickford.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A Tickford is a really neat car, and I'd really like to use one for a little while to see, but I think it'd probably end up being kind of cumbersome and heavy to actually own and use, but really fun to see. And there's a number of different buildings that Andrew has there, and I think he's got one of his own which has his favorite things inside. And I think that his pre-production and those cars that are in there are pretty high quality cars. Really rare to see those many cars in one place. But
Fair.
and he's got a really good original diesel 109 and a couple of low mileage things kicking around and a couple fire engines that are really
Nice.
neat. And you could not have enough time there in one day to see it all for sure.
Right.
So
Well,
we had to
also
rush
mixed
through.
in, but mixed into all this, like his dad is also very much a tinkerer and has lots of Morris Minor kind of Morris
cool.
vehicles and other British cars, but then also they have this family like truck company, right? So they had like all the antique trucks that the company had used years, like big like small semi trucks, like
Yeah.
just a ton of cool stuff.
All beautifully
Yeah,
restored too.
Tractors and spare parts and tiny cars and big cars and trucks and
Motorcycles.
just pretty much anything. And Andrew's dad is in his late 80s, and he's still restoring cars on a pretty regular basis, which was pretty impressive.
and all of this just perched on a hilltop inside of a hurricane.
Right. Yeah, it was some extreme UK weather this past trip. That's for sure. That's for sure. So were there any troubles with the Freelander on the way back down to Bob's place?
We kind of kept to the highways and we avoided stop and go traffic, and it behaved itself. It
Right.
actually
Just fine.
was just fine. So we made it, and then we got a tour of Bob's barns.
Oh, man, yeah.
and
Secrets.
He had a lot
So
of
many
really
secrets
cool
in
stuff.
there. So many
Didn't get
secrets.
a good tour the first time we picked up the Freelander because we were in a hurry, but on the way to drop it off, we got to show us everything, and they have.
You saw all 200 of Dan's
discoveries.
It's really fun too, because they're not just discoveries. There's upside down ones, and ones that are sitting on the back end and the front end. And some have wheels and some don't. And
that one that had been all chopped up for a tray back.
Yeah, some have doors and some don't, and the engines are upside down, and they're just any way you can put all those pieces of a discovery together, there's an example of it there.
That's right.
I would call it disco henge.
That's right. At certain times of day, you can actually tell the time by the shadows that thing casts. Yeah, no, it's true. Dan's never met a discovery that he didn't take home, and he's got a bunch of them. He's got some cool stuff.
His Range Rover project with the BMW diesel engine. That's
super cool. Yeah, they've got so much great stuff. So much great stuff. And again, genuinely putting up with the lot of us. What an incredible group those Iveses are.
Those two guys are the shining beacons of goodness in the Land Rover community. I only wish that there were more people even half as good as they are in the world. I can't give them enough compliments for their kindness and generosity, and also their absolutely nutty Land Rover collecting habits. Their best car, in my opinion, is their 1-ton 109.
Yeah, you guys took that for a drive, right?
What a great car. That thing is really neat.
The 1-tons are a rare and car.
Cool. This particular one, Bob's had for a while, but Emrys, who we mentioned earlier, took it upon himself to, fix it up, and he did a great job. Made it into a really drivable, usable car, and retained the character of the vehicle. It's not repainted. Has some really cool features: hydraulic winch, air compressor, other things that are special and unique about it. But it definitely has a really cool presence. It's big. It's on 916 tires, and you see those cars and you think, man, that thing probably drives horribly. And not only does it drive horribly, it probably steers even worse. You know? And we took it for a drive, and it, on those country roads, it was actually pretty enjoyable and not so bad.
Definitely has an interesting steering to it, with that different ratio. But once you get used to it, you just have to move your arms around a lot more and a lot faster.
Yeah, exactly.
If you were, at speed, I could see that thing maybe being dangerous, but
thankfully it can't be. So yeah, you'd be right.
That's
fortunately that's not really any different than any other series.
That's exactly
dangerous at speed.
Unsafe at any speed.
That's right. Thankfully, they're restricted by their shittiness, so no problems there.
So then, after having seen what probably was 1,000 Land Rovers at that stage, we decided to see hundreds more.
The rest of the Land Rovers in the UK. Yeah.
Well, we picked the 80-inch back up.
Yep.
And then needed to head back towards London, and en route, kind of with a slight detour, we were able to...
Just a slight detour, but not that bad.
Not very big detour.
Not really that bad. No, not that bad.
Then we were able to hit Dunsfold, which was really cool, especially for Linus and I, because we'd never been.
Yep. Well, and Ike, the last time you and I were there together, it was still a crazy Indiana Jones-style parts warehouse.
Yeah, it was more of like a workshop and parts distribution business at that point. The collection was sort of secondary to that, and they had an open day a couple times a year, but really nothing on permanent display, so to speak. And they've really renovated their building there. They've gotten rid of all the, workshop, parts sales stuff, and it's really now like a dedicated museum, and they've done just a fabulous job. It really is cool to see. Highly recommend.
What did Phil do with the 5,000 letter R's from the bonnet of a Range Rover that he had?
I'm sure they'll turn up.
He needs to get one of those big jugs and do the carnival game where you guess how many are in the jug.
How many R's are
gumballs? Yeah, how many R's are in the jar.
We did see some of the surplus Dunsfold pieces at some of our previous stops. We'd be in a building or a workshop or a warehouse or something, and there'd be a huge stack of steering relay arms or something. And where do those come from? Oh, Dunsfold. It's still out and about, but it was really cool to see a lot of the vehicles, and they were preparing for the open day, so it was actually really great timing. We kind of they had opened up the building for another group of Indonesian enthusiasts, and we kind of just caught them on the tail end of that tour.
Nice.
So they didn't have to, fortunately, open it specially for us.
Right.
Yeah, there was even snacks left over.
Yeah, we even had leftover catering for
Jammy
us.
Dodger or something there.
Yeah.
More sausage rolls, some cupcakes.
Yeah, of course. Baked inside of
it was
it a
yeah.
roll with the sauce? Yeah, okay.
No.
That is a good point, Stephen. How do you distinguish between a sausage roll and a sausage roll?
That's exactly right.
You know, that they're different.
This is the flaw in the system.
It takes you have to use
international
context in case. I think that's very it's a complicated language that so. Yeah, and how is Phil doing? Our good friend of the show, and of course, incredible friend of the prototype or weird Land Rover or any Freelander, Phil Bashel, of course, the patron saint of Land Rovering.
Yeah, there was a Freelander in the display there.
Of course, there was. Yeah,
it was
when Ike and I were there, and we went and saw all of the buildings. There was a building full of nothing but Freelanders.
I think this one was the one that was on display was the stupidest one ever built. I think.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The one that.
Wait, that doesn't really narrow it down. Which one was
Which
that?
one? I think I like the color changing one. He has that it's like a mood. It's like a mood Freelander. Depending on the weather, it's like a different color. That's a good one. Yeah. No, he has some incredible stuff. I particularly like all of his engine transmission cutaways, and so he's got a really nice collection of that workshop tooling and stuff.
Yeah, we got a close-up view of one of the tools that we've been thinking to reproduce. That was kind of nice. He has one, just clipped on the wall there, an original. Yeah. And he took it down. He snuck behind the fence and took it down for us, so we can.
That's beautiful.
Get a look at.
Yeah, no, it really is. I mean, just the sheer amount of stuff that Phil has collected is incredible, and it reignites my interest in the Underpowered Hour men's toilet. I think that's we're going to get maybe men's and women's toilet. We could probably stretch and just do the toilets, generally speaking. Although I worry it may prevent women from using the toilet. We'll see.
Yeah, so you want to sponsor the restroom there.
We'll sponsor the restroom I think it's important. Live stream, yes. The pot play in the bathroom 24/7.
That's kind of where it belongs.
There's a cutout of Steven behind the toilet with eyes that follow you wherever you are.
It's like one of those creepy, it's like the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. It's the same technology. We'll be using the same technology.
Or it's silent in there until you lift the lid, and every time you lift the lid, it's kind of like a card, a greeting card.
That's exactly right, yes.
Is the screen going to be on the bottom side of the toilet lid?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's where the YouTube videos will play. We'll have different merchandise in there. We'll have a Nando's piri piri sauce dispenser.
You put a quarter in there, and you can either get,
a condom or
a prophylactic
little thing of piri piri sauce.
Nando's.
Yeah, little cheeky Nando's. I had Nando's no less than twice while I was there.
We drove by one.
Did you? Yeah, in the bathroom, yes, at the Bashels, yeah.
So, Jenna, what was your favorite Land Rover at Phil's?
Oh, geez. I like that crazy display of the barn find. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
He has a display that's like a little vignette, let's say, a little alcove that is
diorama.
It's like diorama. Yeah,
it has a picture of a barn, which is apparently the barn that this vehicle was pulled out of, and the vehicle is still just filthy. I assume that's the original filth, and that they haven't. That's not
recreation filth.
Recreation filth, but basically it's just a very as found condition barn find, and it has a straw pole on a whiteboard on next to it saying what would you do with this? Would you restore it? Would you leave it as is? Would you full restoration or patina restoration, or don't touch it basically? But it's a pretty fun little vignette.
Thing. The last time I was there, it was one of maybe the SAS vehicles, and they had sort of war stuff happening around it, and it's very cool. Very cool. If you haven't sorry. Go ahead.
They also have a Forest Rover, which
of course they do. Yeah, right. Do you get lots of pictures and measurements? And
not as many as I would have liked. There's so much to see there, and Phil had it kind of fluffed up in preparation for the open day, which I think was this weekend. I think it's now.
It's happening as we speak. Yeah.
And his theme was sort of early V8 trucks. So he had like stage 1 88s and, prototype V8 stuff. So he had a number of those vehicles in there, but also, some of the larger prototype vehicles, the Forest Rover, the 129-inch pickup, the big lightweight, or the middleweight sometimes they call it, the Llama, So it was a good, cross section of
the
vehicles.
The other Darien Gap Range Rover, which is really neat to see.
We drove the first Darien Gap Range Rover a few weeks ago at Pebble Beach, and then we saw the second Darien Gap Range Rover, this past weekend. So that's two. It's all of them.
That's all. You've seen them. There's the two. So you've seen them. You've seen them both. Yeah. You've seen them both, and still looking good. Still doing good. It's his collection is just it was just mental how cool it is, how much great stuff he has, and really the nicest man in the entire world. The last time I was there, or I guess 2 times ago, Ike and I took him to have a bit of a
Sunday roast.
A Sunday roast.
He's also got that collection of Camel Trophy memorabilia.
Yeah.
In there. The
It's
trophies.
like in a bulletproof
Trophies.
case.
He has some of the actual trophies.
Yeah. He said that one was so heavy.
Yeah.
They had to reinforce the structure under it because it was so heavy.
It was like the Team Spirit Award or something.
Yeah.
Having seen the whole event and then crowning it with all of those memorabilia pieces, you could spend your whole life and not see that much Camel Trophy stuff ever again.
And then, of course, you headed in for a Dutch pancake with
Pancakes
myself,
with Stephen Beres.
JT,
That was the highlight of the whole trip.
Oh, right. Yeah, absolutely. The average pancake house across the street from my hotel. But it was good to cap off the week with seeing you folks before. I assumed you would go into long-term confinement in Guantanamo or something. So figured we'd get one last meal.
It's
in
not too
before,
late.
But
After this episode airs, that's probably where you'll find us.
That's where the ice is going to be on you. But no.
After pancakes, we went on another late night side quest too.
That's
courtesy
right.
of Linus.
Yeah, some old. What did you end up seeing?
Now, my friend Derek Brown, who I've met here in the United States, I used to own a Lincoln, kind of like mine, so I've bought some pieces from him. But he has a Hispano that he bought, I don't know, quite a long time ago.
He bought it new.
Bought it new in 1931.
And he's the original owner. It was pretty neat to see, a dusty old kind of garage in the middle of London with this just absolutely incredibly gorgeous pre-war
huge car for London.
Huge car in amazing condition.
He had a stuck valve in that car, and so he had just finished rebuilding the engine, and he has a really neat little house down in London, and it's just an apartment unit on top of probably something that is one of the most rare things that you could ever have in London, which is a real full-size garage that you can fit more than one thing in. And he lives above it, and the car's below, and it's got like a great sort of vine growing up the side and covering the door, and it's sort of I wouldn't call it rotten, but certainly worn and aged door, that the light shines out through the cracks when the light's on inside. And he keeps this thing in there. It's just incredible. It's fully restored and just covered in chromes and platings and glass.
And he spent years
and
restoring it because it was kind of incomplete when he got it, right?
Yeah, it was in rough condition. So
Did he do the restoration in that garage underneath his apartment?
I don't know that he did all of the restoring of the car, but he works on it.
He's definitely working on it.
That's awesome. That's super cool.
Yeah. I don't know enough about Hispano Suizas to tell you exactly what it was, but we should have probably written that down. But we'll put a picture in the
we'll put it up on the OnlyFans there. Yeah. Along with all of those photos of Nick Dimbleby, all available on the Underpowered Hour.
We went and had a beer with Derek. He took us to a pub around the corner, and we were sitting outside, and something happened that was kind of strange. They decided to close the outdoor seating and only have the indoor seating available. And I was like, wait a minute, are you throwing us in?
Been thrown out of a pub, but never thrown
out of a pub, but I've never been thrown into a pub before.
It's like the sausage roll thing, Sometimes it gets complicated unnecessarily, but,
So Our flight out was the next day, and we had the morning to kind of check out a few things in London, and we opted to go see the Wallace Collection, which is a pretty incredible group of, Renaissance paintings, a lot of that sort of thing, and medieval arms and armaments, and typical sort of British museum. It's just in an old house. It's a huge manor house, but it's just like in somebody's old house.
Yep.
And it was super cool. There was a lot of really neat stuff there.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, sounds like a fantastic trip. And Jenna and Liza, what'd you think? What'd you think of the UK? Would you repeat? Would you recommend a visit? And will you go back?
I mean, yes and yes. I'm sure we'll be back. We have a lot of unfinished business. I need to go spend a lot of time at Gaydon at some point, but I think they're under remodel right now. So when it's done.
It was a very short trip for an entire country,
Yeah. Always didn't make it to the British Motor Museum. A few big ones that's in the way there.
We got a few more boxes to check.
Yeah, you got to go see the sheep car. That's worth seeing in person.
Well, and it'd be also fun to go actually, do a little more scenic touring, which we didn't have a lot of time to do. So.
Some further up north, Scotland, Wales.
Well, and do some at the old Eastnor Castle.
And my family's a castle in Cornwall.
That's right. That's the stately Tremaine estate.
We're gonna film that for King Ralph II.
That's gonna be great. All the spotted.
It's gonna be great.
All the
it's gonna
spotted.
be great.
Well, speaking of upcoming events and new travels, there is a very special event coming up here very soon, and that is Jenna and Liza's big Mappy Hour reveal of their future plans and machinations. That's coming up this Tuesday night. Jenna, what's the deal on the old Mappy Hour?
Yeah, so we have a really big announcement that we're excited to share with everyone, and we're doing a live online virtual event this Tuesday, September 23rd. So it's on Pacific time. It's 5 o'clock p.m., but that makes it 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, and then it also is then the next morning in Australia. So in Perth, it's about 8 a.m. In Sydney, it's 10 a.m. Unfortunately for our European listeners, it's not a great time. It's kind of in the middle of the night. It's like 1 a.m. in London. So I'm sure we'll record it. Obviously, everyone's welcome to come, and we'd love to have you. But if you want to sleep, I'm sure we'll record it and make it available.
Sleep when you're dead. This is important information. Yeah, everybody's expected to be there. And how do people sign up for this event?
So you have to go to the underpoweredhour.com, and there's a big button to RSVP, and you type in your info, and it'll send you a link to it's a Zoom meeting and a password. And so once you RSVP, it'll send you that automatically.
Very cool. So that's this Tuesday, September 23rd. So if you're listening to this live, it's tomorrow. And that will be tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Tuesday, September 23rd at 5 p.m. Head on over to the old website there, underpoweredhour.com, and get your Tiny Ike stickers and RSVP for the event. Good times afoot. Well, that's it for this week's show. It was a lot of fun to head over and to Camel Trophy it up over the weekend. Again, a huge thanks to Chris Hewitt and to Bob Ives and the whole crew at the Camel Trophy Owners Club.
Michael Bishop, too, for
I just want to do a quick shout out to all the people that really extended an incredible hospitality to all of us and put up with all of our bad jokes and cleaned up after us and loaned us their cars and really made it a special trip for us. Phil Bashel, Andrew Bullis, Tom Pickford, Dan and Bob Ives, Michael Bishop, especially, Mark Cullum, Emrys Kirby, John Luke, Masters, Alex Massey, Duncan Barber, and Tom Collins were all amazing. And if we forgot you, we're just bad people. But we really appreciated all your efforts for sure.
There's simply too many people to possibly thank. Because like I said, every single listener was there. So thank you for being there. Thank you for listening. And thank you for tolerating us. And, we will be back. It's difficult to get us out. Not. Like a stubborn stain, once we've gotten in there, difficult to remove us. So at that, it's been great. And we'll talk to everybody next week.
All right. See you then.
The Underpowered Hour is produced by Liza Beres, Ike Goss, and me, Steve Beres. Pavel Svardov composed and performed our theme music. Consider supporting the show on Patreon, and if you already do, thank you. Your support makes the show possible. For even more, check out our Instagram or Facebook.